Welcome to another trip report. Today we're flying from Basel Airport via Istanbul Sabiha Gökçen Airport to Doha. Now this was an ultra cheap flight at under 200 Swiss francs, and I want to show you what it's like to fly with Pegasus, because this was my first time. Now Basel Airport is quite small, and so the whole check-in and security took probably all of 15 to 20 minutes, not even. So after that we were off to the lounge, and if you want to see more about the lounge, please check out my other video. We accessed the lounge using our priority pass, and pretty soon it was time to board. So the first thing to know is that no matter what fare you choose, there is no preferred boarding or anything like that. There's no boarding groups and so on. The gate itself wasn't too far from the middle of the airport, and there were no finger docks or jet bridges. It was just some stairs up to the plane, which is fantastic in great weather like this. And to be honest, on the way back it was the same thing. And here you can see our A320 Fly PGS Turkish budget airline flight. Indeed, we had booked the very first row. We had 4 different flights in total there and back, and so we decided to test all kinds of seats. And here is the very front row. This is also the most expensive row and definitely the least comfortable. I have to say that if you're a bit wider, then these seats are absolutely terrible, as you cannot even put up the armrest between you and your friend, making you much more squashed. And we were definitely squashed in here like sardines. And you might think that sitting in the front row will give you extra leg room. Absolutely not. You actually have less leg room, or better said, you can stretch out less if you're sitting in the front row than if you're sitting in any row behind that. Now here you can see the little table, and when I say little, I mean it is little. It does come out, it is functional, but it's rather small and a bit flimsy. As you can see, this does not look particularly comfortable, and I do have to tell you that I would under no circumstances choose the front row. And more importantly, once you choose your seat, if that is part of your fare during the booking process, you have no option to change the seat later on despite having paid for it. Now before we show you the next flight, let me show you how much a single Coca-Cola costs, and that's about almost $10. So when you do book with food, you actually only get the food and not the drink, and I can tell you that sandwich was absolutely dry as hell. Anyway, now let's have a look at a couple of lounges here in Sabiha Gökçen Airport, because we do have priority passes, and so there are 2 lounges that are right next to each other that you can visit. This is the first lounge, and this lounge does not have a bar with a barman, but it does have a smoking area, and the food is the same as it is in the other lounge. This one we did find to be more crowded most of the time, but yeah, I mean, the offerings were all right. The food seemed okay. We didn't actually eat in this one, but like I said, it's the exact same food here and in the lounge next door. So if you do have a priority pass, this might be worth it. If you need to pay for entry, well, I mean, I'm not quite sure, but I can tell you that the prices at this airport in general were absolutely out of control. We had about 4 hours or 3.5 hours layover, and so being able to sit down was a very big bonus and rest, and that's probably more value than the actual food. Anyway, as you can see, they do have charging ports and so on, and at this point there were still places to sit down. Now, as we had quite a bit of back pain after being squashed in the plane earlier, we were happy to see that there was not only water on offer, but also alcohol to drown our painful sorrows. No, just kidding. To be honest with you guys, I mean, when a flight all the way from Switzerland to Qatar costs only $200 return, I think you just gotta, take the pain with a pinch of salt, because the cheapest or the next cheapest flight, even indirect flight, was almost triple that. So yes, by taking this rather inconvenient and slightly painful flight, we managed to save over 800 Swiss francs, which we of course splurged on 5-star hotels and fishing trips. And if you guys are interested in either of those things, please check out my other videos. For now, let's return back to our review here. Here is the smoking area of this specific lounge. As you can see, they even have heaters outside. Smoking is bad for you, but if you are going to smoke, then this is the lounge for you. But if you are more interested in alcohol, then perhaps you need to go to the next lounge, which is the Plaza Premium Bosporus Lounge. Now this one doesn't have a smoking area, but it does have an actual bar. Anyway, let's go inside. I would say that this is the nicer of the two lounges. I mean, nicer. It just felt a bit roomier and yeah, I guess maybe slightly cleaner. But in both places, I have to say that they were keeping things quite clean considering how full it got. At this point, it's still very empty. Within about an hour of us arriving, this place, there was nowhere to sit down. So that's something you should be aware of. If you are going to pay for entrance, make sure there's somewhere to sit. Anyway, here is the bar. Now, not everything here is free. This is not Dubai after all, but you can see the costs for the various drinks here. I would say that it's not exactly cheap, but it's not bad. Anyway, looking around, you can see it is pretty comfortable. And if you're not in here, you're going to be outside in the corridors, which were absolutely packed. There were no more seats left. It did not look very comfortable out there. And sitting in one of these seats was definitely a much better choice. So that's probably the biggest argument for getting yourself access to these lounges. Oh yeah, I'm sure you guys want to know how much it costs to get into one of these lounges. An absolutely ridiculous 60 euros per person. So quite a few people do get discounts if you've got like a MasterCard or a Visa. Some of the cards give you discounts, and of course if you have an Amex Platinum and you have the Priority Pass, and you'll get in for free. But yeah, it is a bit expensive. Anyway, back onto the plane. Here you can see us taking the second flight. This flight left at a absolutely horrible time at night and landed even at a worse time. But here you can see that we chose the second row. Now, the second row actually was much better. This is because when you stretch out your legs down there, it's actually longer than if you're sitting in the front seat. I also found the table to be much more stable on this A321. And then we got our next sandwich. This sandwich was considerably better than the first one. And another thing I would say is the front of the planes always seems so full, so sitting in the back, as I said, is a great idea. Well, we did see lots of interesting things. We flew over some very interesting places. I believe this was Iraq, and you can see the flames. These are oil wells, I believe, or something like that, or factories. Really, really cool. And yeah, and pretty soon we were already landing in Qatar. Anyway, let me give you the conclusion. I don't know why it took so long to even get to this point, but these are the most important facts that you need to know. Number one, do not book the front row. Do not order food in advance. Make sure you bring drinks on this plane. Try and sit next to somebody you know, otherwise you'll be touching the other person. You cannot change your seat once you have chosen it during seat selection at booking. Make sure you budget for a comfortable layover. Make sure you take any travel accessories that will make it more comfortable for you. And finally, book the flight, because as much as I complained about this flight, saving such a ridiculous amount of money is actually worth the experience. There is nothing I can really complain about. If I was smaller, thinner, and less hungry, I'm sure I would have had a completely different experience. And this was actually one of the best choices that we made, because saving that much money, like I said before, definitely let us have an amazing time in Qatar. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next week. See you there.